Dr Reena here. I'm a dental specialist and founder of RW Perio, located at 75 Harley Street. Welcome to my podcast, Life and Smile, where we talk about everything dental, lifestyle, business, and much more. Every episode, I'm joined in conversation with a specialist expert in their chosen field, who give us a behind-the-scenes glimpse into their daily regime, career turning points, and an insider look at what they can't live without. As a businesswoman myself, it's so inspiring to hear how people have built their careers and shattered those glass ceilings. So let's get the conversation going. So if there's ever going to be an episode to listen to whilst you're eating, having lunch or dinner, it's this one. Our guest today is a London-based dentist by profession, but many of you may already be recognising him as a MasterChef 2022 quarter finalist. His catchphrase is sharing with a smile, and it is, of course, Rishi Nanavati. Rishi is the creator and face behind Dish by Rish, a platform that started off as a passion project to share his own recipes and creations in a space to spread productivity and enjoyment through food. He particularly specializes in vegetarian and vegan recipes. So Rishi, welcome on to the podcast.
Thanks, Reena. That's probably the best introduction I've ever had.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That's a big compliment for me. So Rishi, we're both in the world of dentistry, and that's how we originally met. And it's been, I have to say, so great and inspiring to follow your journey over the last few years. It's been absolutely incredible. So congratulations on everything you've achieved.
It means a lot.
But let's take it back. Let's take it back right to the beginning. Tell me where it all began. Tell me, how this all start off?
Well, as you know, the job itself is stressful. And it was during my FD year that I thought I needed a creative outlet.
Okay.
It was never a view for it to go anywhere. It was just started off as a creative outlet. So that I could come home after work and not focus on patients, teeth, anything to do with dentistry, just something to switch off. And I was doing it for probably about a year before people actually started gaining interest in it. And then lockdown happened, and it was like a catapult, because everyone was suddenly at home cooking with nothing else to do. And especially around London, a few of the recipes really picked up within the community. And it went from, I think before lockdown, it was not even on 2,000 followers. And to the end of lockdown, within that 2.5 months, it was almost at 25,000.
Incredible.
So that really changed the game for me. But it always started off just as a passion project with no view of it.
So you've always, what about like when you were a kid, were you always interested in cooking and things like that? Or is it something that was later on in life where it was like, oh, I like this?
It's something that I've always done.
Right.
So literally from the age of 8, my mum and my grandma got all 4 of us. So I'm one of 4.
Right.
And they encouraged all 4 of us to get into the kitchen really early. And that was either just observing odd jobs, getting bits and bobs, but it was just seeing and being part of the experience.
And what did you enjoy about it? So when you were younger and you were watching your mom, what was it that was so exciting about it?
It's the whole creative aspect. You're creating something from minimal ingredients, and you're just watching the whole process from start to finish. And the way they did it, especially the older generation, with no recipe, eyeballing everything, using their palms as like a measurement.
Yeah.
I think there's a nuance to that that's just kind of ingrained within us.
100%. I mean, when I was less passionate. My mom was like forcing me into the kitchen, but I did enjoy it. But when I asked my mom, okay, how much should I put in? How much salt should I put in? Oh, just a little bit, like this much. I'm like, what, 1 spoon, 2 spoons? And they just throw it in. And you're like, wow, there's definitely a kind of feel for it. I also think that, when you're making food, you can really feel when someone loves it, and you can feel like when my grandma used to make these really gorgeous biscuits for us, you can tell that she made it. I really believe in that. That's incredible. So then, okay, fine. You had your FD year. We had the lockdown, which was such a unique time, right, for everyone. So what did you start your website at that point, or did you start it earlier, or how did that, or did you do Instagram first? What was the order of things?
So it started off on Instagram.
Okay.
And when lockdown happened, I didn't want to sit home and not do anything, because I'm not the type of person that can just sit and not do anything. So I started doing the Instagram content 7 days a week.
Wow.
And I just maximized the time that I had with that. And then it was probably about a year after that, or 6 months after that, I was working in a clinic in Luton at the time, so I'd done my FD year. I'd stayed on there for 2 years afterwards. And in the February 2020, or 2021, was when I left that clinic and spent 2 months just working on my website to launch it.
Wow.
So I had 2 months out of dentistry at that time to just get everything ready, and then joined my current clinic with a website that I could just focus on the side.
Amazing. So you actually took that takes quite a lot of
Yeah.
guts to like not work for 2
Yeah.
months. How did you manage with that? I mean, was the practice quite understanding, or was it a difficult decision?
It was. I'd felt like I'd reached the ceiling at my FD practice, so it was the right time to leave there. So I'd planned it, so I'd hand my notice in. I'd have 2 months to focus on my site, and then I'd start at a new clinic. So I planned it all out. So I knew that going into that space, I had one goal in mind, was to get my website done and launched and ready. And it happened, and then I went back into dentistry and introduced it again.
Amazing. How did you find it? Like once you had your Instagram going, you had your website, did you feel like the website made quite a big difference to the whole success of the story?
Definitely. The website, in my opinion, is the longevity. Social media can come and go, but your website is also, it's part of the audience on there is your social media audience, but
Yes.
it's also reaching another audience that are going to you for your recipes. And that's an audience that keep coming back.
Yeah.
But social media, you never know, in 5 years it might be gone. It might change. So the website is essentially the longevity with a kind of a repeating audience,
Yeah.
so to speak.
You've got that one platform where you can put everything on
Yeah.
that's going to be secure for the rest of your
Yeah.
life, basically. Whereas Instagram, yeah, I think it's a completely different ballgame, but both feed each other as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
No
And
pun intended.
I would say the website is also a more in-depth version of what I put on social media.
Okay.
So there's a lot more work that goes into the website than what goes into the social media work.
Yeah, yeah. So fine. So it all kind of kicked off, and I remember I was at home during lockdown, and we were at that time starting like designing the clinic, building clinic, and I remember that's when I really noticed you on Instagram, and I was noticing all these amazing recipes, and I definitely tried a few as well because I had more time on my hands. But you really stood out from everyone else because you can just genuinely see you're passionate about it, and the recipes are fantastic. And I myself am vegetarian, also almost vegan, but vegetarian. And you were the first person that kind of stood out to me, thinking, okay, all these recipes I can have, which for me, normally I have to pick and choose. But I could look on your Instagram, look on your website, I can eat all of this, I can make all of this. So it was fantastic. I mean, are you vegetarian yourself, or how did you choose to focus in on that?
I've always been vegetarian, so born and brought up that way.
Right.
And I always felt like there was a gap in the market, that the type of food that I eat was never really well represented. And even when it was often done by people who didn't follow that diet.
Right.
And for me, that just didn't sit right. So I wanted to kind of make my mark on that space.
And I mean, do you find, what sort of feedback have you had from people who are not even vegetarian, but have they found it quite interesting that you're able to, have so many recipes that are possible? I always find that, especially with like vegan, you have to be creative, but that's the real art in it. Have you found that from people who follow you?
The feedback has been, to put it this way, in the last 3 years of doing this, I've probably only had one negative feedback. It's been overwhelmingly positive.
Wow.
And even on MasterChef, they were amazed that I was able to match the traditional Thai flavors without the use of fish sauce or chicken stock. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely, it all comes down to science, because that's all flavors are. They're just essentially chemical compounds, and you can find those compounds in other ingredients.
How interesting. I've never thought of it like that. Yeah, absolutely. So basically you launched your Instagram at a really unique time where actually the whole thing about digitalization, the audience wanting instant access, it all kind of happened at the same time, which gave it that power to, fuel it to be super successful. So tell us more about Dish by Rish. What's it about? Who is it for? Tell us more.
It's essentially for everyone. Anyone who wants to cook or wants to learn how to cook or just has that niggling interest that they want to know more, that's who it's for. The whole premise of Dish by Rish was essentially to kind of showcase modern vegetarian food and the type of things that you'd normally get in a restaurant but never know how to make at home. Right. But also dishes and the kind of fusion flavors that you would never really put together. But when you try it, you realize it works. So the recipes are a bit more complicated than a lot of kind of vegetarian recipes out there, but there's a reason for everything in there and it's all explained.
Amazing.
So it's for people who are honestly quite serious about bringing restaurant-style food into their own home.
Right. And what's been like the most popular one so far today? Or are they all, does it vary?
The most popular recipe from my website has been the pistachio kulfi milk cake.
Right, yeah, I've seen that.
That one's gone just crazy.
Incredible.
But a lot of the Indo-Chinese and the fusion dishes, so even the chili paneer, the Szechuan paneer,
right.
the crispy chili mushrooms, the sweet chili cauliflower, they're all kind of in my top 10 on the site.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of gives me an idea of what people like.
Yes. And then you can then make more of that. Right?
Yeah.
So you track the number of clicks, etc., and see what people want.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy making a specific, do you enjoy desserts more than what's your kind of passion? Do you have an all-round passion for food in general?
I have an all-round passion for food, but I'm definitely more savory than sweet.
Okay.
But I find sweet easier to develop because the flavors, I feel like they come to me more naturally, but savory is where my kind of true passion is.
Right. Amazing. So I have to ask, you've been on a certain show recently, so obviously MasterChef. How did you handle adjusting to suddenly being in the public eye and being celebrated following your MasterChef success? It must have been a completely different world, right?
I went into that not ever expecting to even get on the show because it's a really long application process. So I was auditioning for 5 months before I made it onto the show. And throughout the whole process, I had time to kind of gear myself up into, if I made it on, what I would be expecting. But also I was prepared that if I didn't make it on, what my next step would be.
Okay.
Because I did feel like there was 10 different routes to get to the same end goal. And this was one of them. And if it happened, then great. But if it didn't happen, I was still gonna get there. And throughout the whole process, I just kept it out of my mind that this is going to be on a national platform with, hundreds of thousands to even potentially 1 million people watching it. I just wanted to go in there and just do what I do.
So you just focused on, what you enjoy doing rather than everyone looking at you.
Yeah.
But how was it on the show? Tell us more.
Incredible.
Yeah.
One of the best things I've ever done. And if I could do it again, I would.
Would you do anything differently?
No. I'm really happy with what I did, and I stayed true to myself throughout.
Yeah.
And I knew going in there it was going to be a challenge because I was the first vegetarian on the show to not cook with meat, fish, or eggs. So that was something that I stuck to my grounds on throughout the auditioning process. And fortunately, they were really accommodating of that. They asked me throughout every step, okay, so what about this cheese? Because I was even particular with the type of cheeses I was going to cook with.
Right, yes.
So they asked me at every step to clarify. And they made sure that I didn't have any challenges where I would have to cook with meat. But I knew, especially for the audience watching the show, it's still predominantly a meat-based show. So I knew I was going to face challenges in that respect.
But it's incredible that you're the first person to be able to do that. And quite rightly so, with the landscape changing, I think.
Yeah, it's about time.
Yeah, and I think it just shows that with creativity, you can make it happen. You can create those amazing dishes. So in terms of kind of, obviously you're super inspiring for many of us, and for your side, what inspires you? You mentioned your mum in the kitchen, who I'm sure would be an inspiration early on. What's your kind of daily inspiration? Do you have a chef that you follow? What do you read? What do you listen to? That type of thing.
Well, my first and foremost inspirations are always going to be my mum and my grandmother, because that's where it all started. And I still don't think anyone can do it. I can't even do it the way that they did it. But the kind of inspiration that I have these days is going to be chefs like Ottolenghi.
Yes. Because
his book, the way he plays with flavors is like nothing else. No one is doing it the way that he's done it and pairing those combinations. But also, I feel like there's inspiration all around me. So I'm surrounded by a ton of foodies, loads of food bloggers who I learn traditional Thai, traditional Indian food, whether that's North Indian, South Indian. I'm just constantly surrounded by people that I'm influenced by. And when you go out to eat and you try something and you kind of sit and think of what's in the dish and how it's all put together, that in itself can teach you so much. So I feel like that's helped me a lot to understand the way I'm pairing things right now.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Just there's all types of inspiration around, sometimes not even in the same industry. And you think, oh, okay, really, that inspires me. Do you have like a favorite spot that you go to in terms of food, like restaurants and things like that? Or do you like to try like lots of different things?
I like to try a lot of different things, but I'm very much I don't enjoy the kind of more high-end places so much. I actually prefer the really low-key, probably the worst ambient, barely any seating, and you're probably getting shoved and pushed around. But I love the food in those places. But street food, in my opinion, is where the hidden gems are.
I mean, I completely agree. When we go to India, Neil, my husband, he always has to go to get street food. And I've got a really sensitive tummy, so I end up getting unwell. But we're like, let's have this because it tastes the best. Yeah. But there is that kind of special element to it. I agree. That's really interesting. I guess in terms of like books or podcasts, or is there anything like that you follow?
Podcasts, not so much. It's normally when I was driving that I'd have a podcast on. But books wise, Ottolenghi's books, these are the ones that I always buy. Other than that, I don't know whether you know Tala Dalal from back in the day. She used to do all the vegetarian cookbooks for the generation above us.
Oh, yes. I think my mum gave me one of her books.
We've got a few of hers and there's nothing like it. It's just, it's the most ragged, rundown book because it's been around for 30, 40 years now. But there's gold in there. It's where everything started, in my opinion.
Yeah. Going back to your traditions. So you are a dentist by profession, also a chef. Would you describe yourself? Would you describe yourself as, when someone says, what do you do? What do you say?
I say I'm a dentist and I work in food.
Right.
And that usually opens up a question about, okay, what do you do in food? And then I kind of explain that there's chefing opportunities happening. There's kind of private dining, which is something that's happening soon. But there's also, I work for different companies to develop recipes for them. So they send me the products, I develop recipes, I run my website, and I do food blogging. So it's a lot within the food zone, yeah.
So there's a lot to it. It's not just you cook. There's many aspects to it. How do you find juggling dentistry, food, everything else, the business side of things, and what are your plans for like the upcoming future?
As you probably know yourself, when you launch a business or you do something like this, it's the biggest learning curve that you can ever go on, especially when you haven't had someone guide you through it, and you kind of have to make the mistakes and figure out what you're doing and also the balance, because ultimately you need to have balance in your life. And that's one thing that I've tried to figure out over the last 3 years. As the food progressed, something had to give, because I couldn't do it 7 days a week. If there were 8 days in a week, I'd end up doing 8 days. So dentistry has slowly had to take I dropped a day initially, so I was doing 4 days of dentistry and I was doing 3 days of food, and then I couldn't manage that anymore. So it got to a point where I was doing 2 days of dentistry and 4 days of food for about a year. And then now it's at the point where I've literally just finished the other day dentistry temporarily, just so I can give food my complete focus. I couldn't progress in either of the industries because I was only giving them 50% each. So, yeah.
That's a really important point. I think if you want to make big progress, you have to give it 100%. It's all or nothing, I guess. So you're taking a break for a little while and then see how it pans out. That's exciting. How do you feel?
I feel good because I feel fortunate, to put it that way, because how many opportunities do you get in a lifetime to really have a shot at something you're so passionate about? And I love dentistry. I have the best patients. I have the best team. But food has always been my number one. And how many shots do you really get at making it? So I feel fortunate.
You want to make it count once you got the chance. So in terms of, obviously nothing's ever an easy road. And especially when you're starting something up like this, there's always challenges. There's always a bit of a roller coaster that many people might not even see on the outset. How do you feel? What challenges have you faced? How have you overcome them? Tell us more about that.
Even just starting the social media in itself was a challenge. I didn't really know what I was doing on there. I didn't know even the photography and videography. I had no idea about how to even use a professional camera. So that was a challenge that most people, don't realize. They see the photos and it looks like it's a high production value and everything going into it. But it was a lot of work just to figure out how to use that camera and how to even just get the shots that I needed. And this year has been about understanding how to video edit because I never knew how to do that before. Even the website was a huge challenge. I've never designed a website before. Had no idea what I was doing. That was literally start at 8 a.m. and I was doing that to almost midnight.
So you did that all yourself, with the filming and everything at the beginning?
Wow. It's always been a one-man band.
Wow. Gosh, so you had to learn all those skills, as well as trying to curate all the different recipes, making it interesting. And then I guess filming must be quite, because when I do lots of videos, and it's just normally talking to the camera, so I can just re-record. But what happens if you get something wrong in a recipe and you just got to start again? Or like, it must be much more difficult.
If you make a mistake in filming some of the shots and you can't redo it,
you can't.
You have to plan. I have to plan it for another day.
Oh no!
So there's one recipe that I shot last week, and there's a mistake in it, and I have to do it again next week.
Oh my god!
But even the whole testing process is a challenge, because I'm developing these recipes from scratch.
Yes.
It doesn't work first time most of the time.
Okay.
So there's often 2 or 3 tests and fails that go in before a recipe has its kind of final shoot and final filming.
Who do you get to test out, like the final product? Do you normally share with your family, or do you have like a little test group?
So my family that live with me, and my niece, who's very blunt, 3-year-olds are very blunt, and my neighbours and a couple of my mates that live locally have become my test group, especially with the MasterChef dishes. When I was testing them out, they were my group that I took them all to.
You need an honest group of people who can tell you how it is. Well, if you need more people, let me know. I'm up for that. That's amazing. So describe a typical day on a plate. Tell us, what do you eat? What's your daily diet? Tell us more.
On a day-to-day basis, it's actually quite simple food.
Okay.
My morning is always porridge.
Yep.
And it's been that way for probably 7 or 8 years now. I'm not a snacker, so I don't really tend to snack during the day. My lunch is often really, really simple. It's either kind of a really simple Thai curry, something to do with tofu, or it might even be just rice and some kind of dal or lentil dish. And dinner, I love a traditional Indian food. So either I'm making it or my mum's making it, but you've got your chapati, your curry, your rice, and your lentils. Yeah. And that's pretty much 4 or 5 times a week.
To be fair, with Indian diet, dal bhat chakra, you get everything you need.
You get everything. You honestly can't go wrong.
Yeah.
And it's delicious.
It is. I know my husband and I, after a few days of pizza, pasta, and then you're like, oh, I just need some.
It, right?
I just need, exactly. And you can make it healthy.
Yeah.
Okay, so you keep it quite simple and not repetitive, but it's the same type of stuff.
Because I'm indulging when I'm doing my recipe testing. That I might be testing the same dish for 3-4 days in a row. I need to balance it with just, otherwise I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
Especially with the cakes.
Yes. So if we had to pick 3 ingredients that we can invest into our daily diets to make a positive health change, or anything that would instantly improve our sort of at-home, kind of the recipes you described, what would they be?
There's 3 ingredients. And it's hard to pick just 3, but there's 3 ingredients I always kind of go to when I need an additional pop of flavour. And the first one's going to be dried mushrooms, especially dried shiitake mushrooms. Because you can soak them or add them to any kind of broth, soups, curries, anything, and it instantly gives you umami. So it adds a lot of depth just by adding a handful of these dried mushrooms. On top of that, dried seaweed. And it's so underrated because it does the same thing. It adds also a lot of antioxidants to your food, but it's also really high in umami. And that's one of the ways I incorporated the traditional, almost fishy flavor, umami flavor when I did the Thai curry on the show, was by just adding dried seaweed. But it adds so much depth to a dish, and most people don't ever use it. But it's really healthy and really good for you as well. And the last one, and I love it, is tamarind.
Right.
So whether that's tamarind concentrate or I get seedless blocks that I soak and I freeze it, and you can add it to anything. Add it to your curries, add it to your dals, add it to your Thai food, anything you make, just add a little bit, and that acidity just elevates it because it cuts through a lot of the richness in some of these dishes.
Yes.
So it makes a big difference.
Oh, I'll have to try that when I get home. I'll get my husband to try it. He does most of the cooking nowadays. So exciting. It's such a transitional time for you in terms of moving on, focusing on food. We're all following you on Instagram and looking at your website and trying out all your recipes. But what's next? What can we look out for?
There's a few things happening at the moment. So the first thing that I'm going to be launching very soon, I'm probably announcing it in the next couple of weeks, is private dining.
Amazing.
So it's something that I've been working on for almost 8 months now. And it's going to be kind of bespoke 5-course modern vegetarian menus.
Wow.
And then there's going to be more opportunities either later this year or next year for more people to come and try the food in a more accessible way. So that's in the works. There's a few fun companies that I'm working with at the moment. So there's quite a few interesting recipes coming to social media as well.
So we stay tuned on Instagram and all your platforms.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. I mean, I wish you all the best with that.
Thank you.
I'm definitely going to get you coming to one of my events and cooking for us for sure when that launches. Thank you so much, Rishi. It's been such an interesting conversation. And my tummy is genuinely rumbling now. I can't wait to see what you do next. And I wish you all the success for this next chapter in a very exciting story. Thank you so much, and we look forward to keeping in touch with you.
Thank you. It was a great honour to be here, so I appreciate it.
Thanks, Rishi.